a DP Tour reunion.
Amen.
Hey, now we got to tell everybody it took. I'm on my third one as we were in the pre-show because we're waiting for Champ to get his technology all straight.
I am too now since I realize I'm an IT genius and Champ is a slow one.
Champ,
And
you just sent Bud's IT IQ. Hey, you just sent Champ. You just sent Bud's IT IQ stratosphere.
Yes.
He's gonna think he's Elon Musk now because when he compares himself to you, it's a world of
And
difference.
he's done this before.
With no comment.
Mm-hmm. This is his fourth time on the show. He's been on more than anybody else. This is his fourth one.
My man, tell it, Petey.
So, but Champ, before you got on, I had to remind, and I told Bud said, "What you doing to run this podcast?" I said, "Well, we met on a DP tour." He said, "Yeah, I had a lot of vodkas in the last couple of years." I said, "Yeah, you had a lot of vodka back then too." But I was thinking where I'm because you told the story on the show that you came on before about meeting Bud.
Yeah.
And I was thinking where I met him, and it was in Auburn, Alabama, when we played. That Jack and Miss Kay took the tour to Alabama.
Yeah,
and I met him. We all went to that. Yeah, it was a mellow mushroom. And then we went to that bar, and I met Bud, and he had, I think, 2 cigarettes and 4 drinks.
One time.
That's how athletic. Hold on. That's how athletic he is. He had 4 drinks and 2 cigarettes, and he got but 10 fingers and 2 hands. And he didn't spill one or drop an ash nowhere.
And then we all told Jack and Kay that they had to have every event in Auburn because I had never seen that many pretty-looking women run around.
The week that we were down there, the school was getting. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot behind that, and that story may be one we need to save for a different day. But that week was when everybody was getting out of school, so I mean that place was rocking, and everywhere you went. I think we paid $5 to get somewhere, and all the beer you could drink, and yeah, but if they think they can outfist or outsmoke my buddy, this is how we'd wake up when we was rooming, or this is how I would wake up every morning that I roomed with my boy, and that's my boy. At 6:30, if we had tea off early, when I woke up, smoke would be burning my eyes because you couldn't see to the mirror over there by the damn sink. And he'd turn a light on, and he'd say, "Turn over here, Pods, and look at this." And I'd turn around over there. Now, granted, he's 5 square. He's the same height. Everything's equal. And he'd have on them this is for you, or them slide girdle breeches. He'd have on them tidy whities with a cigarette hanging out his mouth and an ash about that damn long on it. And he said, "Turn over here, boys, and look at what a real professional athlete looks like." And I mean, that was my every morning getting up to a real professional athlete. And then he'd go out there, shoot 65, 66, some shit like that.
You bring up Auburn.
Couldn't get out of the room for the smoke.
I remember playing a college event there, and Auburn did it right. They tried to win their own event, and they would put a sorority like as a host to every college team that come in. Well, my junior year, coach kind of figured out I probably only got about 3 hours sleep, and beer was still on my breath, and I smelled like just absolute dog shit. And I think we finished like 14th out of 15 teams. Coach said, "We probably going to skip this event next year." But it was a hell of a lot of fun, and you're right. But that's something me and Chip used to talk about all the time. That you'd have people say, "Man, there's a lot of good-looking women in Atlanta," or "Man, there's a lot of good-looking women here." And finally, Chip just said, "Look, dude, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's good-looking women." Now, the percentage might not be the same. The percentage might not be the same at every town you go to, but every town you go to, there's some damn good-looking women. And I tried to find all the ones that wanted to get lucky the week I was in town. And that might be the
Who once
reason I'm
wanted to
not
hit the
still out
lotto?
there. Yeah,
Hey,
because
you
that's
were
what
equal opportunity.
absolutely. Because I got some of my students around
You
here. They're
were
like,
about Brad
"Oh,
Banana.
you know, oh, you know, you don't, you haven't had that many women, and all this, that." And I'm like, "Look," I said, "I'll tell you this." I said, "I'm not bragging. Back in my playing days, I wasn't the ugliest guy in the
But
world, and I was a lot thinner." And I said, "But let me tell you something. You go to these towns, and these women know that the tour's coming in town, and they think everybody that plays, even the mini tours, lives like Tiger Woods." I said, I could go in there and sit
bless your
down next
heart.
to any single woman there, and all I got to do is say, "Yeah, I'm in town for the tournament. I'm playing." Oh, God dang, what? I mean, it's like she goes, "Well, what hotel are you staying at?" I said, "Well, you can just ride home with me and find out."
Yeah. What you like for breakfast? Yeah. And if they survived it, and you showed them that professional athlete's body, then you probably understand they had a hard time with you after that. And
I ain't saying I
Listen,
had a
so
lot of them come back the second night, but after that first night, I didn't really care.
Bud, on the way for Bud to get to Atlanta, which I still do. I live same place, Bell City, right off I-20 from Atlanta, from Birmingham to Atlanta. So Bud would swing by, and I think we'd talk, but I don't care. Bud would swing by to pick me up when we was close. Now Heath had gone. Uh, Boo was, I think he may have been getting ready to go, but anyway, so me and Bud was rolling and he had a cooler in the back in Tahoe. That one door you couldn't shut both doors. One of them was cracked because some bitch so big you couldn't shut both doors. Had to get one of them damn elastic bands around there. Well, it had a case of Bud Light and a case of was it Coke,
Diet
Diet
Coke.
Coke, and we'd be going up the road. Now, from my house to Atlanta was like 100. An hour and 30 minutes max. Me and Bud did it in about 3 hours. He would reach in there, and if he came out with a Diet Coke, he drank it. If he got it, now this he's picking me up at 9 in the morning. So let's get everything situated. A Diet Coke, drank it, a Bud Light. We pissed, or he did. We made more stops from there to Atlanta to get there. And I'm gonna tell you that's why I said he's equal opportunity because he didn't give a damn if it was a Coke or a beer. If he come out there, he was gonna drink it.
If you think I pissed a lot
Did we
then, you
ever
should see
tell
how
you the
much I
story
pissed at
when?
50.
Well, now it's about thinking I got to piss and going in there and just dropping the back too and going back laying in the bed again. Them days long gone. Did we tell you the story ever? I mean, I know we had it together. Me and Bud roughed up. I don't remember that old kid's name. He was real tall. He wasn't bad, but there wasn't but about 10 of us trying to compete out of the 30. But
I just
we
remember
talked him
calling
and
him
Boo into
Colin. I
going
don't
and
know what his
playing
name
9 holes.
is.
Yeah, Bud just called him Colin. I can't think of his damn name. But he went
where
out
was
there
he
and played
from?
9 holes
Hang
one
on, champ.
afternoon.
Hang on. Where was he from?
Uh, he was in Georgia. He was hang on a minute. He was over there and he was he was like everybody else there are the ones that's trying to play. He was like the best player at the club, at his club, that type of thing. And he wasn't bad. I mean, no, I'm not knocking this guy by no means. You know what I mean? That ain't what I mean. But they wanted to do a little gambling. So me and Bud go out there and we're gonna play 9 holes, it was like $5, $10 press. Anyway, after like 8 holes, we was like 7 under par, and Boo said, "I'm done with this shit." He said, "I tell you what." And then he got mad at me and Bud. He said, "Man, the number you ought to pick me with him." We said, "Hell, you chose him." Well, you the one said the first load up. So that insult to injury. Me and Bud go to Walmart and Bud has this stereo system that'll fit two speakers in the front of the car and the radio in the back. That's when the shit, was still being big ass boom box, not that shit you hang on the side of the thing. Next thing we get ready to tee off and we're all in there together. Bud's got this thing cranked up to where, I mean, like, you can't. And they said, what you got there, bud? He said, it ain't what I got there. He said, I meant to tell you earlier, but I didn't get a chance to thank you. And Boo said, for what? He said, this radio system that we got. He said, you paid, and Boo went for like, and me and Boo's times he went for like 2 weeks when he speak to us. And Bud would play the radio every time he went by him. And he said it was our fault. He said, you need to get a better partner. Some of that shit though, and it ain't gonna make a lot of sense. But I gotta think about this before we talk tonight. There's a lot of kids that's been on the mini tours now that's gonna have stories 20 years later because everybody played at different levels. Bud played at a higher level than me. Uh, but that summer, that one summer, those 30 tournaments was some of the best times. That's why me and you are talking right now, Pete. It's some of the best
Mm-hmm.
times for, not world champion golf. But on the other hand, we had about 10 guys that went out there off that damn tour and won on the tour later on. And
Yeah.
you and I have had that talk. Hell, we got
We're,
one. Bubba was at the end. We was gone when he come in there, but that's two masters. Boo's a Ryder Cupper. It wasn't like we was playing at the Saturday dogfight, every time we teed it up. But the times, because nobody's famous, um, everybody kind of hung out in our room because everybody was nervous. They didn't know nobody, but it got to be like a little fraternity. Just for that one summer, you got to meet a lot of good people. And I still to this day, when I reminisce, when I'm, maybe not having the best of days, I'll go back to smiling because we all three agree. I know this. That was as much fun that one summer for a while it lasted as they were. And
And
it wasn't about golf.
you're
It was about the people you met and some good people.
and don't leave
what do you
off the
think, Bud?
name of Scott Perrell, who's made a hell of a career on the senior tour.
Me
He's
and
won
me and
out there a
Pete had
couple
this
times.
talk.
He's got him a damn good
Won like
retirement
3 or 4
saved up.
times.
And
But
And the thing, see, Scott was my age. How old are you, Pete? You're 50.
51. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be 58 in December. And Scott was my age. And the
no
thing was
wonder
for
you can't
him,
no wonder
at
you can't work
35,
computers.
and
See,
hey, I'm gonna sound like a
us
trick.
50
You
year olds
take
can
that
figure
back,
it out.
buddy. Bill. You take that back. But
Nope.
Hey, hang on a minute. We were just talking.
He didn't
Right.
even win until he was 49 on the damn nationwide. I get tired of calling that damn tour a different tour. When the three of us, if I say nationwide, y'all know what the hell we're talking about because it changes
Mm-hmm.
every year. But he actually didn't win, I think, till it was like he was 49. And then got out there and he's won maybe 3 or 4 times. But yeah, and if anybody well deserved it, that was one of the nicest guys I ever met. He talked like Minnie Mouse. He never was out drinking or doing nothing. He was good to his word, did his shit. But it's well deserved because that's a grind to go from 35, 15 years later to hang in there that long. Even if you had financial status, but people giving you money to do it, that shit gets old when you ain't winning. You want to come home to your family, or for me, I'll take that back. The hardest part at the end was when I wasn't playing good and I was away from my family and that kind of thing. Because people think that you see them on TV and everybody said, oh, everybody ain't Tiger. It's a grind. If you ain't on TV, yes, it's harder than work because if you got a 40-hour week job, all you got to do is get up and go do your job and you get paid the same every week. In golf, that ain't how shit works.
Yeah. Bud can speak to that because how long did you play, Bud? And you
I
were
played for
a
10 years.
fantastic player.
Yeah, I played for 10 years. And finally, it got to the point to where, you're on the road 45 weeks a year because, even though I had some success, I still have to go to QSchool just about every year. And when you combine the regular season with a
Mm-hmm.
few other events and then QSchool, you're on the road 45 weeks a year. It was a great life. But when you get home for the off season and you only have $2,500 in your bank account, you're thinking, is this shit worth it? I mean, when you get home
Yeah,
for the
Yeah.
holidays and you sleep in your
amen,
own bed and it's a strange bed, is it really worth it? Because I mean, luckily
amen, brother.
I was engaged for part of that, but I was never married and I didn't have kids doing that. People that's got kids and married that's trying to chase that life, I mean, if you don't have success quickly, you can't do the grind like a few people have, and it takes a special person because I mean, like we're talking about with Perel, he was always real quiet. He didn't necessarily do what me and Champ did the weeks of the tournament, but he still came by the room. He still hung out with us some, but it's
Oh,
just a
Hmm.
grind.
he never been to, man. He told me
Well,
one time, I didn't mean to cut you off. He told me one time his wife, she was in the computer business. I think he was not the business, but that was their line of work. But she said, and let me tell you what, this is where the people don't get the credit is the wives that, and
Absolutely.
she never gave up on him once because I can promise you, you come home with $1,500 and you've been on the road, these bills be paid. Eventually, unless you got an exceptional woman, they gonna go get a damn job. They and I get it. They want some security, but he said his wife is the one he dedicated. I promise y'all what he told me, and it made me think of what a person he is and what a person she must be. But now she's got rewarded. But who the hell hangs in there for 15 years and not that he wasn't making money because he made money on the mini tour. He wasn't losing money, but that's a long grind. 15 years for somebody to stick in there with you. They love you so much and believe in you to do that. I mean, that's why I love Scott so much in his story. A lot of people don't know that, what we're just talking about, but to me, that just makes him and his family such a just a whole different scenario. That's why I'm a Scott Terrell fan. I've always been, and I always will be. And luckily, he
you know,
still answers some of my texts here and there, and he's always nice when I talk to him. But it takes a hell of a woman to put up with this, man. Y'all both know that.
it, and it was different back then, bud, because but I remember that. Now I didn't. I played in one event nationwide or Korn Ferry, whatever the hell it's called now. But when you were playing it full time, I remember that they would play in like Pennsylvania, then they go to Kansas, then they go to North Carolina, then they go to Missouri. I mean, it was bouncing
Amen.
back and forth all over the
Look,
country, and
and
you guys
it
had to
look,
drive or
You
whatever you had to
can't
and
do.
that's what a lot of people don't
go ahead.
realize is really for the most part, at least back when I was playing, late '90s, all the way through 2007, '8. The last time I was trying Monday qualifiers, the the money you spend per week wasn't much different from the Hooters tour to the PGA tour because but the money was going different directions. On the mini tours,
Hmm.
Hooters tour and some of them other ones, you were having $1,200 entry fees. You still had the hotel, you still
But
had
you
the
remember,
gas, but on the PGA tour, you're playing for millions. On some of the mini tours, your total purse might have been 70,000.
you're playing for your life.
At that
You're
time,
playing for your life.
the now Korn Ferry or Nationwide, whatever you want to call it, their purse was somewhere between 100 to 200,000. Well, on the
The
Korn
whole
Ferry,
package.
back then you still had minimum $400 a week caddy. You had a $500 a week hotel. You had gas. You had all this. The entry fees wasn't as much. I think they were 225, but you were still looking at spending 2,500 to $3,000 a week to play the tour. Well, PGA Tour wasn't much different. Just
And
Hmm.
they still
the
playing it
entry
on the
fee.
mini
The entry
tours.
fee was basically free. The majority of your expenses there was caddy and hotel and airfare, but it was pretty much the same thing. But you're playing for 1/10 of the money.
But we played an event in Carrollton, Georgia. That was kind of like what Jack called our the home course on that little deal. And teardrop, which was well, I guess it was just a teardrop. Not same as the Hooters. They started on
Yep.
Thursday. We called. They let us. They needed spots anyway, so it wasn't like even though we wasn't a member of the tour, by enough credibility of playing a mini tour, they just come on if you got the money. And we drove from there. We got done on Thursday. Drove up there. No. We got done. Whenever it went down, we went up there and played. The same week, had to pay like $750 for that thing. And what I'm getting at is the money on the mini tours. You're paying out more money than you could almost win back because all he was doing was playing for your own money. I mean,
If you didn't
and if you
finish,
didn't
if you
finish
didn't
in the
finish,
top
probably,
3 or 4,
yeah, I think top 8 was about the break even point. You know, and you got guys out there
Yeah, I
yeah,
know
that
because
no, top 5.
I came in 10th to 12th a lot and didn't get anything, maybe
right, you know,
$100.
and you
Yeah,
got guys
on the
out there
DP
that
tour,
you got guys out there like Champ.
that's the truth.
You got guys out there like Champ that he used to tell Jack, you can't hide the flags from me. They're going out there to make birdies. Well, hell, how many Hooters events did you see the results of? And 28 under was winning. You know, you got to shoot 23 under
Yeah,
just to break even for the week. And I don't care how easy the golf course is. There's still a lot of things got to go in your favor, and that's just this one week. You're playing
that's
30
my
weeks a
thing.
year on the Hooters tour.
Yeah, you still
You
got to
got to
get it.
you got to shoot ridiculous scores every week just to break even. Because one
Hey,
win on
it
those
was
mini
Craig
tours
Campbell
back
in
then,
his day when they
one
was.
win took care of about a month, and that's it. And then you had to have another top 5 to cover your weekly expenses from there on. But if you didn't win at least one out of
Hmm.
every 5 tournaments on the
Yeah,
mini
it
tours,
was a
you was
grind,
you
man.
was pretty much losing money.
Do you guys know Chris Trevino? He's teaching and coaching. He's got a really good
Uh,
junior program. I think he's still in Arizona. No, he's in Arizona or New Mexico. And I think he was after us. But even when you were playing Korn Ferry, I think he was still on Hooters and coming up. But he was on Jason Sutton's podcast, and Jason lived here. He's a top 50 coach. And uh, Chris told the story about playing the Hooters tour, and he said I wasn't scared of anybody. He said I get on the Hooters tour and I'm 5 under, and I'm losing by 15 shots to Chad Campbell. So
right,
he said I go figure out what the hell this guy's doing. And he said, because Chad hit that big sling hook draw. He
right,
said, so any hole that went right to left, and the Hooters ain't playing 480-yard par fours, but so anything
Nope.
that goes right to left, 400, 420, Chad's slinging around the corner and flopping wedge up, making his putt. And anything that went left to right, he'd hit iron to the corner, and he'd 8 iron 10 feet, and he'd make that. So he said it was just a different game.
Katie,
and I would say
he's
this:
the only cat that I know.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Hey,
Chad.
Chad.
he's the only cat that I know of. Only cat that I know of on the Hooters and on the Hooters tour. They may have some now. They was paying him $5,000 if y'all remember show money. He won like almost 18 events out of something that one year. I mean, he run over them. It was just like they paid him. And y'all can Google this. They paid him 5,000 a show just to go play the damn things. I mean, but what he did, it was some kind of record. I mean, I'm gonna jump off this now. I'll do my best to be quiet. I struggle with that a little bit, but when I was caddying for Boo, they got paired together at the St. Jude. Him and Chad did on the last day. And I'm gonna tell you something. You want to watch two ball strikers? That was just fun. Because let me tell you, Chad did hit that ball from right to left, but now he struck the shit out of that thing. And you got Boo in his prime. He was pretty easy to watch hit it too. That was the most fun I had. And they shot like 200 or 300. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't like they shot no records. But the quality shots that they hit and just be standing there beside it was pretty impressive. Whatever happened to Chad? I ain't never heard that. Now we thought about it. I mean, he's got to be getting close to 50 or something, ain't he?
He's living in Texas, isn't he, Bud?
The last I heard he is, he's one of those that did kind of disappear. And, it almost makes me wonder because I was telling one of my students the other day, when you have a top tier player at some point go through struggles like this, you can pretty much guarantee wife, kid, someone's having health issues or they're going through a divorce. I said, because this game is so hard
Mm-hmm.
with everything perfect around you, when you have just the slightest
Amen.
distraction, you can't focus on the golf course like you need to. And I mean, whether, some people might not like him or they might love him. Chad Campbell at one time was a world class player. And you don't just kind of fall off the map like he did unless
Played a
there's some
lot.
health
He
issues.
played on the Ryder Cup.
Well, I
If you
remember
win on any Ryder
he
Cup, you're a world class player to me.
well that and then he walked away with the tour championship that one year.
Yeah.
It ain't,
61 the last day, man. Shot 61 the last day.
yeah, it wasn't no nail biter coming down the last hole. I think he had like a 6-7 shot lead.
But
No,
getting
that's
back
exactly
to the talent that was
right.
on the mini tours, over the years, one of the
Mm-hmm.
best advice I ever got from somebody. I don't know if y'all know the name or not, but he was unbelievable. He was a senior at Arkansas my senior year in high school. His name was Dean Pappas. Unbelievable player. He was one of the
Mm-hmm.
first guys that could hit
I
it
saw
just
the name.
stupid
I don't
long.
know him.
He told me because I come into Arkansas, I was cocky. I mean, bad. But he had just graduated, but he still played a lot of time. He still practiced a lot at Fayetteville.
Was you up there on a cheerleading scholarship?
Huh?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I
I
played
said, well, did you
volleyball.
first get, was you up there?
I was
I thought you went up there on a cheerleading scholarship and walked on the
well,
golf team.
I was a pole vaulter and a high jumper in college. And then,
Well,
the coach
no,
ended up
hold on.
he saw my
No,
athleticism and stuck a golf club in my hand and I started hitting it pretty solid. But anyway, he told me, he said the best advice I
I
can
remember
give
the
you,
day
bud.
we went, hold on.
Don't let me
Hold
finish
on.
this
I
story.
remember the day we went
He
to the
told me,
YMCA.
I'm talking, champ.
Hey, hang on, Tim. Hang on, Tim.
The best advice I ever got was Dean Pappas told me, he said, Bud, let me tell you something. And this was probably my sophomore year. Because he had already played 2 years kind of bouncing around the mini tours, making some money. He said, Bud, get ready. I don't care how good you are in college. Get ready to start getting your ass beat by people you've never heard of before. And that was so true. Guys that, because you got guys
It
from,
is
and I'm not
still
knocking
true this
anybody.
day.
I'm not knocking anybody. You see guys from the Naval Academy. You see guys from McNeese State, from Valdosta State, that didn't play in the college events that I played in that might have been just a little bit later bloomer that I'd never heard of, but he's at the top of the leaderboard in this mini tour event, and he done fired off, 64, 67, 65. And, you done went out and played, you thought pretty good, and you fired 367s, and you're five shots back. But he told me, and that's the best advice I ever got.
Been there,
He
done
said,
that.
get ready to get your ass beat by people you've never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Well,
Chad, you can chime in and
hold on.
tell us your background.
Okay, what I was getting ready to do was brag on you the day we went to the YMCA and you got on the rings and you did the Iron Cross and you were smoking. He was up there like this, looking at Jesus on the cross, and he had a cigarette in his hand. Now, it was pretty impressive that he was hanging there like that. But when he took the hand off that had the cigarette on it and smoked it and went back over and grabbed it, I said, this cat's a professional athlete. You can't laugh because of that. You just encouraged me to say more shit. That's what my wife said. Don't quit laughing at him because you just encouraging him to keep talking. But that was
Hey,
impressive. I said, damn, that's pretty impressive. He's hanging on to it. But when you took that right hand off that cigarette and hit it and put it back up there, yeah, he's got more game than I got.
well, hey, I mean, if you just look, you're talking about mini tour competition. If you just look at that year that we played that DP tour, 2000,
Oh,
2001, 2002, and you had not, but I don't say this in disrespectful in any way at all, but you played the Korn Ferry for basically a decade,
Right.
and you would have been the low man on the totem pole for when you consider Jason Bone and Boo Weekley and Bubba Watson and
he's
Heath
welcome.
Slocum. It's like, damn. And now you got still playing in 50s, and now you got playing in 50s. Jake Reeves, who led the Hooters tour for 3 or 4 years in a row, he just qualified for the senior PGA.
Right.
And Hank Kim, as we were talking, he might have just got his senior tour card. It's like these guys are still playing well,
Yeah. And I love Hank
and that's 10 guys, almost 7 guys off the top of my head.
because back when we were in college, that summer circuit, the Western Amateur and the Monroe Invitational and all those, I got to meet a lot of those guys, and me and Hank Kim became good friends during that time. And Hank's an awesome guy.
You
I
take
love
that
him to
away?
death. Huh?
John Wayne. John
John
Wayne.
Wayne.
What?
We'll get in just a minute. You wasn't there for that week.
So, Bud, we'll tell you this story. So, I think Champ and I are paired up on the first tee in the first round. I think this is one of the first week Hank comes out to play
It
on
was.
that DP tour, and you know, Jack gives everyone their scorecard and says, "Go ahead and exchange them and introduce yourselves." And Champ and I, okay, you're gonna play good. And we turn around and Hank's there, and here's this Korean guy. What is he, 6'2"? And he says,
Yeah, he's going against everything he's supposed to do.
"Yeah." And we're waiting for this Asian accent, and he says, and he goes, "How you doing on Hank Kim?" What? Champ goes, Champ shakes his head, says, "Wait a minute, say that again." And hey, I'm Hank Kim. Nice to meet you.
He said, how you doing? I'm Hank Kim, man. And so
And
it called
the
us
Duke,
off there, man, and we got
it,
laughing this over it. I said, damn, that sounds like John Wayne had rode off there.
so I called him the Duke. I think he sounds like the Duke. And
Yeah,
Champ said,
y'all
"Damn
talking
sure he
That was
does."
his
And
name,
that's
the
what we
Duke.
called him.
y'all talking
Nice
about
guy,
how
good
tall.
guy, man.
Oh, awesome! You talking about how tall Hank Kim is, and this is no shit. I remember my 7th grade year. I went and took the physical to play football. I was 5'10" and a half. Back in those days, you didn't have no
Hold it,
PGA Tour
hold it,
players.
hold it,
Champ,
hold it.
shut up. I'm getting to that. Just give me time. You had no guys on tour
I'll let
except
you
for Phil
pass.
Blackmore and maybe Al Guyberger that was over 6 foot. And I honestly, I'm not the most religious person you've ever met. I do believe in God and all that, but I used to sit there and pray at night that I wouldn't get no taller. Well, if you don't think there's a Lord, then just look at me now because now I'm 5'8". And now you, now you can't find a guy on tour hardly that's under 6 foot.
No, listen, no. Uh,
But I tell you what, hey, be careful what you pray for, because you might just get it.
Me and Pete, me and all that, but Pete was laughed at that one because he ain't like, and it was way more shock than we just made it sound like. You know, you trying to get ready. And first of all, you're like, damn, he's kind of tall, you know, for one of them. And then see, that sounds racist, and then I ain't even done nothing. And then we went, I'm like, man, Jeff Champion, and I think we may have both got shake hands before he even said, hey, Cam. And like, damn. I mean, and I remember we looked at each other and I'm like, uh, let's shake his hand again. Hank Kim. I mean, he come in there with sound like he could have been singing for the Temptations, man. But
So,
told him to
Bud,
do that was shit from then on.
the
The
Duke,
Duke.
we still call him the Duke. But we got to tell you this other story because it involves Hank Kim and our boy Travis.
That got me crying.
So,
Oh God!
we're playing we're in North Augusta at Midland Valley, and the USAM is going on in Atlanta at where they play the Tour Championship, Bobby Jones course, the one
He's like,
East Lake. So they're
yeah,
playing the USAM at East Lake, and so they get rained out, and we're all in Champ's room. There's got to be 10 of us, and Hank's sitting there. I'm there. Champ, Boo, Travis. We're all hanging out, and so they're playing a replay from years before the USAM. The last time it was at East Lake, and
yes.
one of the guys in the Golf Channel comes up and says, "And look at that, Hank Kim just shot the lowest stroke play score of anybody in history." And Travis looks over at Hank and says, "Hank, how did you play today's round and get over to East Lake to shoot the lowest score ever?" And Champ looks at me and I look at him and he says, "Travis, what are you talking about?" He said, "That's like 8 years ago." And Travis says, "Oh, I knew I was just fooling." Well, you're full of shit. You were
Bless his heart, man. Look, when you think you can go jump on a hole, get you a few people, and go to 12 because it's foggy, and start out there,
All right, I'll be right back.
you got to draw a line somewhere. Oh,
so
he was dead serious. I think they pulled off the magic trick. Oh,
So,
go to.
but
I don't think
but
we can't tell the Heisman Trophy thing. So I know we leave Travis is safe on that. Uh, even
hey,
though
hey,
Bud
but
told me the other night.
hey, I don't want to I don't want to get off on a tangent too much, but Bud, as we're talking about Bud playing for 10 years and being the, I mean, he was a great player. You had a pretty damn good career for someone who
Amen.
didn't go to
Amen to
tour.
that.
And when I remember hearing this on the Golf Channel, your last year at Q School, not to try to make you go back and relive this shit, because
I've been
this was
good
one of the,
behind him.
yeah, this was one of the,
Because
it's like karma getting in the way of something. Hey, hang on, champ, you got to turn the TV down in the background. We can hear your TV.
it ain't me. I don't have mine on. It ain't me.
Okay, all right,
Is
we're
it
good.
mine?
So,
You hear the
but so
If you
I
got
think it's
one
good
on,
now.
it is.
It's
It
kind of
ain't me.
background noise.
I ain't got nothing on in here.
all right?
All
I
right, we
cut mine
should be
all the
good.
way down.
But anyway, so, Bud, your last year at Q School, if I remember, you're right about on the number. You're going to make it. And the last
Yep.
hole, I think, was a par 5, and you're up there close to the green and two.
17th hole.
And the rough was so thick.
It was
Okay,
a
so
17th
17.
hole.
And
I'm
looking
sorry.
for your ball. Everyone's out there looking for it because they know how important it is, and everyone kind of golfers help each other, and everyone's looking. And I don't remember it was you or your caddy, but you bumped it in the
I
rough,
did.
and you had to take
Because
the
here's the
penalty, and
deal.
you end up missing by 1.
You know, we ended up because back then I ain't even honest. I don't know what it is now, but back then it was 6 rounds over 2 golf courses. So this was the
Mm-hmm.
third time that I'd played this golf course, and every time I'd hit too much club in on my second shot on this par 5. Well, I'd hit my second shot good, and the pin was on the front, but there's a front right bunker right there and a front left bunker. Well, walking up to it, I hit it good, and I'd been long every time so far. So I'm thinking it's either in this bunker or just over it. Well, as I'm walking up, and I remember like it happened yesterday because I've had nightmares about this shit. As I'm walking up, I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at the bunker. I'm not looking at the rough in front of me. I'm looking at the bunker. I don't see it. And as I get up to the edge of the bunker, I turn to walk around the bunker and I feel something hit my foot. I look down and it's my ball.
Mm.
First thing I do is I just put my head in my hands, and the guy that's like my second father, he's over on the left side of the green. He comes running over there and he goes, "What happened?" I said, "I need an official." And he goes, "What happened?" I said, "I think I kicked my ball." He goes, "Well, did anybody see it?" I said, "No, just me." He goes, "Well, don't say nothing." I said, "No, that's not me." I said, "I need an
Right.
official to find out what I need to do." Well, finally, an official comes up, and he was one of the officials from the Korn Ferry nationwide, whatever tour it was at the time. And he'd already kind of heard on the radio what had happened. So he was one of the officials that absolutely loved me. And he comes pulling up, and you could see that he was already somewhat depressed because he knew what the ruling was going to be, knowing that I'm on the cut line. And sure enough, we sit there and talk a minute. He goes, "Well, where was your ball?" I said, "Honestly, I don't remember. I don't know. I just know I felt something hit my foot and I saw my ball move." He goes, "Okay. It was in this general area?" He said, "Yes." Or I said, "Yes." He said, "All right, you got to drop it here with a 1 shot penalty." Still to this day, knowing that I was on the cut line, still probably one of the greatest up and downs of my career because after that, I still got that ball up and down to make par on that par 5, parred the last hole. I'm thinking I'm in. All the rules officials are thinking I'm in. They said, "Bud, if you want to, go ahead and go upstairs and sign your paperwork and go ahead and get it out of the way." And I said, "Okay." I said, "But," I said, "can I have me a couple of drinks to kind of unwind from this before I go up there just so I know it's final?" They said, "Yeah, go ahead." Well, by the time I got done having my drinks and I needed to unwind, that number had already moved that extra shot. So I ended up missing by 1. And I called a penalty on myself that nobody else knew about on the 17th hole, the 6th round of final stage of Q School.
Can I defend? Can I say this is something that's very important? And because the way things overlap, Travis was dead last. I was caddying for Travis. We all was there together, all of us people.
Mhm.
And we were behind Bud. Boo was ahead of Bud. I mean, because they were in the leaders type, and this is, and so we didn't know what was going on. We could see it going on up there. First of all, let me say something. Of course, he ain't gonna cheat and do nothing, and nobody is. I see how people think that shit, but he took it like a man, got it up and down. It didn't know at the time if a bird life told maybe it gets him, but my point is he took it like a man and went in, and I'll never forget this. And when I got done, I went to find him because I knew Boo had made it, but I went to find Bud. I didn't know what had happened at that time, and I'm standing there when he comes out of the scoring tent. I've never seen nothing like it, and what I mean by this, and I love that motherfucker. I love that cat to death, man. I never saw a look on somebody's face when I found out the situation. For whatever it's worth, I could have been no more proud because he could have, and I know everybody thinks what you want. They've never been. Now this is life changing. He's going to the tour instead of the damn nation or whatever the hell it is, and that's a big difference. But calling the penalty on yourself, and everybody goes, "What are you supposed to?" Well, if you ain't never been in a position like that, I promise you, for a split second, you probably think. Anyway, I've never been so more proud of anybody to this day. I've told this story to a lot of my friends, and well deserved if he'd got on the tour. But after that, it was a little hard. We've talked about it, but I want to just say, that's my boy.
And let me say this: one
Yeah,
of
I
my
mean, to
students.
call a penalty on yourself that no one else has seen.
When
Yeah, it's
nobody would
106
ever known it.
hole.
When nobody
But
would
No,
ever
honestly,
known it. He could have walked up. That's great.
if any of us three would have been in that situation and you would have got your PGA Tour card, how would you have felt about yourself if you didn't call it? I guarantee you, I'd have been
No,
scared
I'd
to
have
cut
caught it. I mean,
that
I'm
I'd have
on y'all.
played
I
that
mean,
year.
y'all believe it on me all you want. Because I believe in karma and shit, but if they step on it, it's the right thing to do. But there's
The,
people that wouldn't have done it. Is all I'm saying. And you and
the biggest thing,
that Pete, that grass where he's talking about, that shit was 5 or 6 inches. He could have stepped on it and kept it walking and walked around there and act like he never even knew it. Now I'm not making excuses for Bud. I'm just telling you, I was behind it. I saw it, but and it sounds like like you. Well, I was there, but
well,
you
and
mean, I'll tell you
I've
what,
been
you mean a hell of a lot more to me. You mean more to me by eating it, than taking it and getting you a big chew of it and eating it and doing the right thing. That other shit. You know what? The tour comes and goes, but you still got to live with yourself because in the middle of the night, you'd have thought about that shit. I mean, anyway,
absolutely.
sorry about all that. But anyway, I thought my boy did the right thing and then some.
I was
But
okay with that
how long
decision
did that
until
irritate
like 2010, and then they changed that freaking rule. Now it's not a penalty. Well, goddamn, can I get my PGA Tour card back
Now
now?
it's an accident.
Yeah.
Now it's an
But
accident. Yeah.
I got one more funny thing to say about that
So
night, because one of my
I
students that I
do
work
too.
with here, he jacks with me all the time about kicking it, and stepping on it, and it costing me all this. Well, the other day we were out there working on a short game, and he goes, "So, Bud, what did you do that night afterwards?" And I said, "I can't tell you, Pods."
Uh-oh.
He goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I can't tell you. Let's just
I was
say
involved in that. Yeah.
there was 4 lovely ladies that was hired that night, if you know what I mean."
Well,
I had to get I
hey,
had to
thank
get
goodness you can't
but
I
they
had to
say.
weren't
get some
they weren't
stress.
lonely after that.
No, they weren't.
Thank
I ain't
goodness you
saying it.
can't say.
I ain't saying it lasted all night long, but there was 4 lovely ladies that got paid in southern Florida that night.
Mm. Well,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think they were
cover
very
my.
lonely that night.
All I did was go back and check on him, and I left. No,
That,
he was. You know what? Think about what he went through for a minute, because that was life changing. Now he got, he's still fully exempt. I mean, the rest of for the upcoming year, but just the shit from, say you play in Callaway from 120,000, if that's the case on the nationwide, to $300,000 on the tour, and everything went with it. And then plus he goes plays good because it was a great player. I mean, that one mishap. When people talk about life changing shit, if you understand, I mean that's and then anyway, uh, I can't imagine. I'd have probably lost my mind, but the one thing that I've said every time I tell this story was what I was most proud of was my boy caught it on himself, took his medicine, went on about his business.
No, but Bud, after that, it wasn't long after that that you pulled the plug, wasn't it? Or did you keep playing for a little while
Well,
longer?
Good. I'll speak for him the next year, but wrapped it up.
that next year,
And
02.
I don't mean that disrespect. No, I don't mean that disrespect, Bud, but it was just hard to recover from that shit, man.
Well, you combine that with the next year my dad passed away, which my dad was everything to me.
See,
And I
Mm-hmm.
continued about 3 years after that trying to play. That's the last time I had status on any major tour. Then I was bouncing around from, Monday qualifiers to the mini tours, and I hung it up full time in 06. My individual sponsor at the time, talked me into going to a few Monday qualifiers after that, a couple of years, for a couple of years. But that was really my last. And the funny thing is I was so close. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, damn, if I just practice really hard this off season, I'll get there. Well, it just so happens in 01, they changed the rule at TPC courses where now the nationwide tour guys could hit baladas on their range. Man, I went to TPC at Southwind in
Mm-hmm.
Memphis every freaking day, and I was hitting one of them green buckets every day. But looking back at it, the problem was I got so wrapped up in trying to hit the perfect shot, and I forgot the most important part of playing golf is getting in the damn hole. I was so focused on trying to have a 5-yard draw instead of just starting it right at the target and letting it go right to left, or starting it left of the target, letting it go left to right. I got so wrapped up into the perfect shot, which hell, and I tell the story all the time. Tiger Woods, you can have the argument who's the greatest of all time, Tiger or Jack. I think they're close enough you can have that argument, but there's one argument you can't have. The greatest golf that this game has ever seen for a 6-7 year time period is by far Tiger. And there'd be times that he would be in a press
Mm-hmm.
conference after the tournament, and he would say, he might have just shot 65, won the tournament by 7, and he'd be sitting there telling them he hit 2 or 3 shots exactly how he wanted to. Now, I ain't saying his standards aren't different, but if you're telling me that the best this game has ever seen, the guy that performed that well, only hit 2 or 3 shots the way he wanted, this game is about misses. It ain't about your good shots. And I lost that part of me. And I got so focused in on being perfect, and I forgot to score. And when you're playing for a living, you got to be able to turn that 74 into a 69 if you want to play Saturday and Sunday.
Score.
Because let me tell you something, there ain't too many people
that
shoot 74 or 5 that's playing on Saturday and Sunday on any tour out there.
Mm-hmm.
The only cat that's ever hit it dead straight every single time he's played golf for 100 years was Mo Norman. Y'all see where he had one tee, played with the same tee for 11 years, and let a guy use it that was in his group. Some bitch broke it. He freaked out, went and got his car, drove off, didn't show back up for damn 30 days. And Mo said if a tour started having tournaments at midnight, he'd win every one of them because he could play in the dark. Now that's pretty good shit.
And I tell you, I got some Canadian friends that will vouch for that, that's seen it.
Well, there's videos you can watch of now. A lot of people ain't never heard of Mo Norman, but there's videos that his words were dead straight every time. I mean, that's crazy. Of course, he may have been a little touched, or see, I'm about to say something's I'm gonna get called out as racist.
Kind of like somebody that's at the bottom of my screen with IT. You know I love you, Pod, so I can say that.
You outdid me a while ago. Usually we can do about 10 minutes apiece, but I had a story that I was going to tell on her. And but you talk so long because I can't remember what I do. If it's 5 minutes, I'm done. I don't
Well,
remember shit.
so let me instigate a little bit because Bud, you were known, you had the reputation of being the junior John Daly.
Oh,
So
just like him. I'm just like
so
him.
I figured if I brought that up, and that would conjure visions of grandeur in a lot of people who are listening's minds. But I'll let you and Champ, because like I said when the pre-show, I remember meeting you in Auburn at that bar where we were all hanging out, and you had 4 drinks and 5 cigarettes in each.
Exactly.
I said, who the hell is this guy? But so I figured that is going to spur either your memory or Champ's memory to one of them stories that
You
you
want
guys.
to go first?
I,
John Daly is one, bud.
I don't know how broad is this podcast, because I don't know if I could say this on here if there's too many people saying it.
Hey,
It's wrong, man. Yeah,
I'm the host, the producer. I got one editor and marketing and a janitor. So I say you can say anything you want.
All right.
Come on, Pete. You say what you want. He'll edit it out if it don't fit.
If you want me to edit it out,
here's
we'll take it out. If you want to leave it in, we'll leave it in. But you go ahead and say what you want.
here is
You
my
can say my hat.
here's my I got 2 great stories. I'll make it quick about JD. Okay.
I'm
My
calling bullshit
girlfriend
on that already. Go ahead.
my girlfriend of 15 years passed away this year on New Year's Day. All right. Unfortunately, her birthday is tomorrow. So it's going to be tough. But
Sorry
I
about
ended up
that, bud.
talking her into going down to the Woodlands and watching John's inaugural Prosperity event. It was his inaugural Champions Tour event. She had never met him.
Oh boy, I remember.
She had
You
heard him
remember
talk so highly of him
He can't keep a straight
and all
face.
this. Well, we're sitting up on the back patio at the Woodlands, down there at TPC at the Woodlands, and he says, "Hey, bud, y'all come on up." So we go up there. We got beer surrounded everywhere. John never met this girl before in his life. He knew I'd been dating her for about 7, 8 years. The first story he brings up about me and him is when he was our special designated golf coach at a college event in Tulsa. He bought the whole team hookers. That's the first story he tells my current girlfriend, that he bought us hookers in college.
Red, white, blood American.
And then he goes into even more detail
I love
because
it, baby.
there were
I
6
love it.
of us there. There were 6 of us there. The girl said we only brought 6 rubbers. And one guy goes, "Well, am I going to get to go?" Well, John goes, "Well, it's only money." And I said, "Well, damn, can I go again then?" He goes, "Hell, go ahead, bud." So he tells that part of the story. I told you, he hadn't known my girlfriend for 5 damn minutes, and he's telling this story. But now on the other side of it, this is the greatest story I could ever tell about JD. And people that love him or hate him, I don't care. But if you listen to this story, you can't help but to have a heartfelt feeling for him. I was summering.
Can't help but be heartfelt.
But I was wintering. I was wintering in Scottsdale this one winter, and this is when they still had the regular tour event out in Tucson. So I was still out there like February when they had that Tucson event. And he goes, "Hey, come on down and hang out with me the week of Tucson." I said, "Okay." So I go down there and I'm hanging out on the bus. And, there's 15, 16 people on this Prevost. It's crowded, but I mean, there's a lot of people there. That's where the entertainment is. Well, all of a sudden his phone rings. He goes, "Hey, bud, I got to go take this." So he goes back to the master bedroom, and I'm telling you, there's 15 people on this bus. He's in there for 2.5 hours. Okay. Well, finally he comes back out. Well, everybody else has already left. And he goes, "Hey, where'd everybody go?" I said, "Well, hell, you kind of disappeared, so everybody else left." He goes, "Well, I'm sorry," he said, "but I had to take that phone call." I said, "Well, what's up?" And he goes, "That was one of my Make-A-Wish kids in Michigan that's having surgery tomorrow, life-saving surgery." And he goes, he wanted to bring the picture of me and him into the surgery room to make him feel comfortable going through this life-threatening surgery. And he said, but because of the sterilization and stuff, the doctors wouldn't let him bring in this picture. He said, so I was back there that whole time trying to convince him, even though he couldn't carry the picture back there, I was going to be there with him in heart, in spirit. So he sat there, even though he was entertaining people on this bus, he took 2.5 hours back there convincing a kid that he was going to be okay and John was going to be thinking about him the whole time during his surgery, and he's a Make-A-Wish kid. That's what kind of person John Daly really is.
I believe that.
That
And
that
let me
that is
say
an
this right
yep.
quick.
That's
Blake,
an
no,
awesome
I need
story.
to say this. I need to say this. I know that. I believe that. I just need to. That laughing I was doing was no. I want to make sure that nobody hates me. I wasn't laughing at the start. I was laughing about some other shit. I got a little carried away, but yeah, the damn, 'cause my laughing carried over a little bit. Next thing I know, I'm over here giggling and grinning and shit, and you done led in there thinking, oh, I'm at St. Jude's, and I apologize, man. Damn, you tricked me. I mean, but yes, I don't. I
You were
believe
still laughing
JD's a
about,
good
well,
dude,
can I
but
go
give me a
again?
thumbs up or text me or something.
Yeah,
No,
you tell
hell
another one.
no,
Go ahead,
man.
bud.
Uh,
But for
I
people
told
that
y'all
don't
how much
know,
fun this is. Thank y'all.
that's how big his heart is.
No, I believe that. I believe that. Because he's
Mm-hmm.
normal. He's a normal dude. That's one thing a lot of people don't like. They don't like somebody who speaks the truth and just says "fuck it" and do what. I'm sorry, Pete. That just do what
Yeah.
you want to do, type of thing,
Yep.
man. Yeah, and see,
But Bud,
that's what we got away from.
Absolutely.
you met him at Arkansas?
He was ahead of
That
me,
and
but when I went up there, like I said
He's
earlier,
my
I
age.
was a I was a cocky son of a bitch. And when he started getting suspended from the tour, he would come back and hang out at Fayetteville. Well, I'll never forget, we were sitting there, we were playing cards at his
mm-hmm.
house one time, the end of the range at our home course. And I flat sat there, and I'm a freshman. He had done won the PGA. And I'm sitting there, and it was one of those tables that would seat about 10. Well, you got one head of the table, and like 8 chairs, down each side. And I'm sitting there, and I look back
No,
at
it
him.
ain't
I
no
said,
cap.
"Look, this might have been your town at one time." I said, "But I'm the new sheriff in town." I said, "I'm the new stud. I don't care if you've won a PGA." I said, "I'm the new guy here in town." And he told me though. He said, "Let me
You
tell
ain't
you something."
shit.
Yeah, that's basically what I told him. And he said, "But let me tell you something." He said, "I loved you ever since then because I knew your confidence wasn't going to get in the way of you being good." So we hit it off just like that. I mean, we were good.
Well, the greatest flop
Of
shot
course,
I ever saw was from somebody I had never met in my life. I'm at down trying to, and I'm gonna tell you one thing right quick. Is Monday qualifying? Not the. I'd rather have my wisdom teeth pulled than go do that shit, man.
dude,
Is
I'm
Monday
tired of shit.
qualifying? Was that not the worst shit you could ever put yourself through? So I'm
I
somewhere
got
in down
tired.
Louisiana. Well, a friend of mine now is a good friend of mine right now. And anyway, I'm paired with him, and now we didn't speak. This is the third hole, and he's getting a position where that in a bad position. So this, and he's about 5'5" both ways, square around through there. And he hit
Champ,
this shot straight up in the air, which was pretty impressive. Easy, easy. And as it's in the air floating around like a hummingbird, he hollers at the top of his lungs. Eat your what? How was it?
eat your heart out, Phil
No,
Mickelson.
Phil Mickelson. Eat your heart out, Phil Mickelson. And
I
it
done
trickled
bought it
down
over the
there in the
green,
leather.
and I got a
Now,
back pin on a
now,
downslope. But I knew I nipped that summit perfect. I knew it was going to be good.
now we never. I don't even know if we even spoke to each other. Well, I'm sure we said, "Hey, Jeff Champion, Bud Steele," but that shit was out the door. And then about 3 weeks later is when at what Jack called our home course there in Carrollton. I come walking out that afternoon, and I'm getting ready to leave, and there's this little dude at Square just sitting out there on the thing, and he's got a Bud Light, and he's holding court, and I looked, I was like, that damn, that somebody looks a little familiar, and I'm like, hey, cuz, have we ever met? And you're like, I don't know, have we, Pod? And I said, anyway, Jeff, and right in the middle when I said, anyway, Jeff. I said, you the one that hollered, eat your heart out, Phil Mickelson. And that led to this podcast we doing right now. And I can't thank him enough for still being as good a friends I have on this planet. It's
That's
been a
that's
blessing,
amazing.
man.
That was
Well,
20 plus years
I
ago.
still got to tell one story. Champ
25.
kind of touched on it
Hey,
earlier.
I'm telling you, look, so we can get 25, give or take a few months. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, we've been
Yeah.
hanging out 25, give or take a few months, even though we ain't been hanging out. I mean, but when you can call somebody like we said earlier, and I don't care, and you never miss a beat like the three of us are doing right now, even though we hadn't made eye contact in a long time, that's a pretty good friend to me. That's just how I look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
Every
I mean,
time
we
we
were talking
talk,
about
man,
it.
you're so gracious. Everything. Go ahead,
Do
bud. I'm sorry, bud.
we need to cut his damn earphones again because it was a little bit more peaceful when he couldn't hear us?
Well, I guess
But
y'all some time really. You gotta be having a hammer cock.
but we were
I just
talking
been
about it.
fixing me another one, so I'm
Oh, I brought premix to the table now. I ain't got to get up. But we were talking about it like 2 weeks
hey, how
ago.
would you want
Now
that?
with all this,
Pete,
now with all this
Pete, can you
technology where
speak
we
to
can
Bud?
actually see face to face, it's almost
I
like
know,
we're
but
back
hold
in the
on, we
hotel
can't.
room together.
Bud, we can't see you, and I thought it was just me, but it says 20%, and you're black. See, that's racist right there, man. I can't.
Well,
Never thought of you
just
being
from the
that way.
waist down.
But you said you had an hang on. Bud had another
When you
story.
get tired of it, it's done been an hour and a half. When you get tired of it, let us know. But if you're not, I mean, I ain't in no hurry for nothing.
No, I want to hear that. Bud had another story. He
Well, if
was
y'all can't
Oh,
see
he's
me, it
got
ain't as
plenty of
funny.
them.
hitting to.
Can you see me now?
No,
Well,
but you're doing something. It says your name at the bottom, but it says you 20%.
Yeah.
That's
it's just
that's what I'm doing.
his upload's a little slow. It's lagging
Okay.
for
Well,
whatever reason.
I'll this
But
the
he's
first.
still there.
That's the
The,
polite way to word it these days. Yeah, I'm with him. Yeah, your shit's a little slow.
yeah. Okay. Hey, next time I have an IT problem, I'll make sure to call you, champ. I swear to God,
Hey,
the
getting
first
back to
night,
what I was telling. Hang on, man. Hold on. Hang on 1 minute, and you can have the floor. I was telling Pete the other day that once I didn't realize I never even as long as the time. Well, I've been barred from Facebook so long I don't even get on it. But I didn't know you could just go to somewhere in the messenger and call somebody and see them. So me and Bud was trying to talk. Bud said, "Give me a minute." So he calls. And then that that Brad Pitt look he's got popped up on the screen, and we started communicating that way. So now because it's a hell of a lot more fun like we do it. When you sit and tell jokes and get everybody laughing and see them, that's a heck of a lot better. So the only thing I think Facebook's good for is doing that, because other than that, that's the only thing they ain't barred me from. I've been barred from everything you could be barred from in Facebook.
I tell you,
Bless their little
FaceTime was
hearts.
unbelievable.
Hey, but I got to ask you one question, because you grew up in Texas, didn't you?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Bad good.
So what was the reason to go to Arkansas and not like a Houston or a University of Texas that were known powerhouses for
Oh,
for
okay.
decades? Yeah.
I'd originally committed to University of Houston. Ended up decommitting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a Longhorn fan. I love them. I was by far the number one recruit in the state of Texas that year. They didn't even offer me to walk on. So I order
That one
Bevo
hurt a
toilet
little bit.
paper
That
every now and
stings.
then so I can wipe my ass with Bevo. I hate University of Texas. And come to find out,
Listen, hey, if
the
you got
coach,
something, quit
because
beating around the bush about it.
me and Justin Leonard ended up becoming pretty good friends because we got paired together some in college. And Justin said, Bud, I would have loved to have had you as a teammate. I mean, him and Harrison Frazier and me in college, we could have been, and Jean Paul Hebert, we could have been national champions a couple of years. He told me the reason the coach didn't recruit me because I wasn't a country club kid. So I
Be
despise them with
that one.
all my
And
heart. But the main reason I went to Arkansas, and I'll be honest, I didn't even know Arkansas had a golf team Christmas break my senior year. But in November, my senior year, we played, there was a course here in Lufkin called Crown Colony. At one time, it was the number one ranked course in the state of Texas. Now, a lot of that was political, don't get me wrong. But it's a good track. Well, it was the first tournament that they had of Lufkin, a 5A school, was going to host a golf tournament there. So they had everybody come in. They had Lake Travis come in. They had A&M Consolidated come in. All the best teams in the country. Well, they let this little old 3A school individual come up and play as an individual. I go out and I shoot 68, 64 in this tournament in high school at the number one ranked course in Texas, and I win the tournament by 12. Well, now all of a sudden, every school is recruiting me. And I went on a recruiting trip to University of Arkansas, and down here it's flat with trees. And I get up to University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, and I see the mountains, I see all that, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And I remember I met the team. I met the team for lunch. I got there, say 6 o'clock one night. I meet the team for lunch the next day at noon, and I tell them I've already had such a great experience. I'd have to get robbed 3 times before I leave tomorrow for me not to come here. I just loved it. Arkansas's got a bad rep from the people up there, but let me tell you something. Arkansas, Arkansas is unbelievable. And later that year, before I actually committed to them, I remember coming home from the golf course one day, and my dad, he opened the door for me. He goes, "You ain't gonna believe who called today." And I said, "Who?" He said, "I spent an hour on the phone with Frank Broyles." And even though, back in the day in the Southwest Conference, everybody in Texas hated Arkansas because they were the only school that wasn't in the state. But that doesn't mean that they didn't still have respect for Frank Broyles. And my dad told me then, he said, "Bud, if you end up choosing to go to University of Arkansas, you have my blessings." A few days later, Nolan Richardson called and talked to me. And I talked to him for probably 45 minutes on the phone, and not an ounce of it was talked about basketball. It was all about golf. A lot of people don't realize Nolan Richardson was an avid golfer. I played a lot of golf with him while I was up there. In fact, my freshman year in the chow hall, he would come talk to me before he'd go talk to any of his players while eating lunch. And You know, it's almost kind of like Nebraska. University of Arkansas, that's the only sport and the only team that they have to pull for in the whole state of Arkansas. You got Arkansas State, Arkansas Tech, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that's like, you know, JV teams. Nebraska is the same way. Who else do you have to pull for in the state of Nebraska? So the whole state gets around it. And I'll never forget my freshman year up there. I go spend Thanksgiving with one of my teammates, David White. He invited me to come spend the Thanksgiving with him. Great guy. I go hang out with him. We go to his golf course. It's called Pleasant Valley. Nice golf course in Little Rock. I show up with my golf bag, and of course, you know, the athlete that I was at the time, the bag boy said, "Hey, what sport?" He said, "You go to Fort Arkansas." He said, "Yeah." He goes, "What position do you play?" I said, "I'm on the golf team." And he goes, "Well, what's your name?" I told him.
Hold on. He said, hold on.
Not
He
only the
said,
bag,
what
not only
position
the
do you play?
yeah, not only did the bag boy know, but every member at that
You
golf
told him
course
I'm a point guard.
knew
You said I'm a point guard.
they knew my full stats of my freshman year, my fall year, because they keep up with that shit, and I loved it. I mean, it was the best 4 years of my life. I mean, let me give y'all a little sample. I mean, y'all see that hog? Dang it, right there. Y'all see that hog right there? I even though
I
our
can't say
football
it's
team
hard.
sucks right now, and I've almost ripped that TV off the wall multiple times because of it. I tell you what, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow
Oh,
and
I
I'm gonna
found
hope and
early.
pray that the Hogs win next week.
Amen.
Because I mean, they allowed me to do a
Amen.
lot of things. I mean, I ain't saying it was great for my career, but I ended up meeting John Daly. I met a lot of other
Oh,
people,
no, it's a great thing.
you know, and you
No
know,
joking aside, golf has given me so much, and I never played it like that. I mean, the people I've met, the great people I've met, and the friends I have, talking to two right now. I mean, no, it's this game. That's why I promote it. I grew up playing other sports, but when I promote it with these kids, you learn so much about yourself. The whole thing. It's just it gave me a bunch of opportunities, and I never played it on the tour. Never made it there. But the things that I've got to do, the people I've got to meet, I wouldn't swap that for anything, man. I mean,
well,
nothing.
I can speak for two people here.
True.
I wish they would have taught you a little bit more about IT because I was tired earlier today of waiting on you to get hooked up with us.
And the thing is, I can't say shit about it. I'm just glad that you don't want to fire at me and Pete ain't. Because I'm over here with my glass. I can't see with my glasses on or off. Got my wife running around out here, and Lord, without her, I don't know what I'd do. But I can't get the volume. No. Anyway, yeah. Touche. I understand. Is the thing.
Hey,
Listen, boy.
so
Hey, now I hate to leave good company, but I'm on. I know, Pete. It's 10 o'clock at your place. Bud, you got to work tomorrow. Now, I'm being serious about that.
Yeah, but I'm an athlete. I can handle
You
it.
got to go in the morning.
I got to get up at 3:45. But I
hey,
still got to tell
now
one more
I gotta
story.
ask you guys.
Well,
Go
look,
ahead. Go ahead.
no, I
Okay.
ain't in that big a hurry now.
Okay. I got to tell one more story. I'll never forget the first
Pete,
week,
thank you, brother.
first night, me and Champ are rooming together. I didn't know anybody on this tour. I didn't know anybody except Champ. Well, we're just hanging out in the hotel room, double beds. We're sitting on each bed. Well, all of a sudden, this one son of a gun comes busting up in the room. And me and
Hey,
Champ was
I
just
know
talking
we
about
ain't
it. I
paying
said,
any
dude,
gas, so get ready.
I'm, I'm not from here. I said, dude, what's up with all these porn stores all over the highways out here? I said, everywhere you turn, at every exit, there's a adult DVD store somewhere. I said, "What's up with that?" Well, this guy that comes busting through the door just caught the tail end of this story. He goes, "Yeah, dude." He goes, "I like those." He
Go
goes,
ahead.
"Man, they got booths in there. Well, you can go in there and watch videos, and you can take care of your business." He said, "The last one I went into one of the booths, he
Got
goes,
holes in the
I got
wall.
to looking, and there's two holes in the wall." He goes, "So I had to lean back. I had to cover this hole with my right hand, the left hole with my left foot." And he said, "I went ahead and took care of my business." Ever since then, he started bawling.
I wish you could pose not like the Heisman pose, man.
And and
And the
he
thing
goes
about
on
it
butts
was,
in,
what was so
tells his
ironic about it
story,
was he didn't
and then
even give a
leaves.
damn.
He comes in, tells his story, and leaves.
And when he said
And
this, I'm not saying that Travis did it, but Travis walked right in there and said it, did it, and walked out before Bud and I could make eye contact. Bud said, "What the hell just happened?" And we was in stitches because he had one foot on the TV like this and one arm behind him like he was in, I don't know, like a yoga stance or something. And I mean, but he never met Bud. He just walked in there. Man, he knew me. He just walked in there, throwed his shit out on the table, whizzed back out there, and Bud said, "What the fuck just happened?" And that's why they got the Heisman pose, man. But it wasn't Travis Nance. Made me edit that.
but Travis knows
But
me
hell,
very
it didn't
well.
bother. You know what? You ain't got to edit. It didn't bother him none. Hell, he'll still tell you that story this day.
Hey, Bud. Now I won't go into the story too deep because
Uh-oh.
one of the three of us on this show got saved by their wife. So I have the deepest respect for Shelley. But do you remember?
I wish you'd
Do
been
you
here for
remember?
that.
Now, going back to Alabama where we started this and kind of the genesis of this whole thing. Do you remember the Karate Kid story?
Oh
That's why
yes,
I got the
oh
door locked.
yes.
I knew this was
I
coming.
still, I still see
Matter of fact,
every now
hold
and
on.
then.
No. Don't say shit. I'm gonna make sure the door's locked.
This might be the best mini tour or any tour story of all time.
Dude,
This,
I
this,
sit out here and a lot of times
that's part of it. It's the best work. It's the best
when I
world
don't have to
tour
get up
story
at
of all
3:30,
time.
I'll sit out here and I'll watch these reels on Facebook, just one right after the other. And every time I come across one that says something about kung fu fighting, I send it to Champ. I said because it just brings back memories. But it was so funny because he's sitting there telling the story,
I think my kids are listening to this. That's
and
the
he's
thing,
like,
man.
he's talking about
Yeah, that was something.
this.
Well,
I mean, you go ahead and tell the story, Champ.
ain't that something? I mean, I'd really prefer not to, but if it wasn't, I mean, I'm gonna tell you how good a story it is. I'd almost sacrifice myself for it, and Wes Tucks who got me in this position. It wasn't my doing. I got tricked into it. I know you can't jump out of a 2-story building without breaking an ankle. And I looked at that, and the thing was, I was leading the damn tournament. If I'd been dead last, it wouldn't been that big a deal. Anyhow, the if you're hanging out, if you had met somebody and you shoot shit with them, and you say, "Well, what's your better half doing?" They lead you on to believe something else. But right at the end, they say, "Well, oh, I meant to tell you, he's a karate instructor." And I said,
For the
"He who?"
military. For the
Yeah,
military,
no,
what?
he was down South Alabama training fucking soldiers. It was the thing to how to kick and carry on and shit like that.
It
He's training
wasn't
the special
wasn't
forces.
Yeah,
yeah
yeah,
wasn't
yeah. He
supposed
was
to be
down there
home
working
yet.
with the SEALs and the Rangers. He was down there working with the SEALs and the Rangers. Is what he was doing.
And
And
Champ didn't even know that she was married. That's
You
that's the
no, it
worst
was
part
only
of it.
just a boyfriend. It was just boyfriend, but I don't think he gave a fuck. Because the way the tone was on the phone, I said, "Who was that?" Well, that's my boy. And I said, "Where's he at?" She said, "Dothan." Well, Dothan and Auburn is about like 2 hours or so. And I could tell because you could tell if you in special forces and all that. I'm pretty sure you can pick up on shit better than a normal bear, and you can tell she's lying. So anyway, I said, well, she said, don't worry, he ain't coming home till like tomorrow afternoon or something. And I thought that motherfucker sounds like he could be coming home, you know. Anyhow, one thing leads to another. I'm trying to do this as discreet as I possibly can, and it's getting time that I need to go on home and or back to the room because I've got to play golf. And somebody, you hear a key open the door, and I said, "What is that?" She said, "That's him." And I said, "Him who?" And she said, "Him." And I said, "The karate instructor." And she says, "Yes." So I said, "What?" And she said, "Get in the closet." And I thought, well, I went and looked at the window, but we was upstairs, one of them old plantation homes. And I said, man, I can't even land like a cat and get out of this damn thing. So I got in and I had on everything but one shoe, and I had it under my arm. So I was barefooted with everything on and a shoe. It was, matter of fact, tell you what it was. It was a damn old school Converse. Had it under my arm. I can remember this one here ain't never left me. So I'm in there, and I hear this cat coming up the steps, and there's a little commotion. Well, somebody walks in the room, and I'm thinking, cause I'm all kind of shit. I'm hanging on to the damn knob like a squirrel. I'm thinking of everything that's going on. I mean, this is what I come up with is how fucked up it was. When he opened the door to karate me, I was just going to holler, yeah, and just hope I scared him and run out the thing. Well, anyhow, she yanks on the door and I yank it back. And she yanks it back, and I yank it back. And she said, it's me. And once again, I said, me who? She said, he's in the bathroom. And I can't, and I still just I ain't had time to put my shoe on. So, and he must have had the shit because normal people, he'd have pissed with the door open. But the door was closed for a split second. And I went down them steps. I hit about every third one. And the screen door in the place, like I said, it was a plantation house. It opened this way. So I just ran through the motherfucker. I'm talking about like literally. Then went out there, and why he didn't park behind me, I don't know. But anyhow, I leave out there in my car, tearing the mufflers off the back, backing out, and yonder I go. Well, the car falls in behind me, and I know it's him. Now it's getting daylight. So when I get back to the motel, I'll circle that motherfucker with the horn down. I'm talking about I got it down the whole trip through where you got to check in, all the way around the back. And when I come back through the second time, Boo and Travis is up there looking out the window. And I ain't never let up. I held down on it and made another circle through there. Because I'm still thinking this idiot is behind me. And all I could think of was, how am I going to explain? How did the last round go? It was kind of bad. And what happened? It looked like you've been in a car wreck. That's what I said. It was kind of bad. And I shot 81 or 2. Every time I passed everybody that knew what was going on. And Auburn in that golf course, the holes run like side by side. They standing over there like in the crane, and singing they was kung
Karate.
fu fighting. True story. I
Wait, wait.
just admitted it. I finally admitted it in front of God and everybody to the public.
That, that when you got
That's
back to the
true.
room, you were room with Bud, weren't you? You told him the story and said, "Now don't tell anybody." And he said, "I ain't gonna tell a
At that
soul."
time, Bud wasn't there. I was rooming with Travis, and Travis no, Bud wasn't there. It was Travis, and I beat on the door, and I said, "Motherfucker, open the fucking door." I mean, because I still wasn't sure what was going. When they tell you right at the end, oh, by the way, what does he do for a living? It ain't that big deal. He's a karate instructor for the government. He trains special. I said, hold on, man. Let's what now? Anyhow, yeah. So he's down there training Navy SEALs and damn Army Rangers, and he says come home early. I mean, I'd have jumped off the damn house. I tell you what it did though. The Lord works in mysterious ways. That wrapped me up on all that shit in one trip.
Mm,
Done.
There'd have been no
That was the
valet
best
damn.
instructor.
80 I ever shot. I can't believe I just told that publicly, but there it is. It's out there. But hey, that's what it's all about. Look, now that I've done it and it's over with, boys, I love y'all. I'll be in touch with each one of you, but I'm gonna have to get because I'm getting a stare down from the one that runs the show. She just, thank God, she just stuck her head in here where she didn't hear the whole kung fu, and they was kung fu fighting. Yeah, he was fast as lightning. Yo, Pete,
All right, boys, we'll
man,
wrap it up.
wrap it up
And
for us, my
when
man.
we sign out, just hang out for a little bit. I love you guys. It's always great to catch up. That was, like you guys said, that was a
Man,
special
love you, and
summer.
I appreciate you having us on, man. Thank you.
Anytime.
Bud, I love you, buddy.